You've probably noticed something in life. The people with real power rarely need to raise their voices. They don't rush. They don't fidget. They don't try to prove themselves to the room. Instead, they carry a calm presence, the kind that makes others lean in, wondering what's going on behind those steady eyes. That's because true dominance has nothing to do with how loud you speak or how hard you push. It comes from self-mastery, from being able to command yourself before you even think about commanding the world. You see, most people misunderstand power. They think it's about control, controlling situations, controlling people, controlling outcomes. But the Stoics knew something deeper. If you can't master your own mind, you will always be at the mercy of the world. Think about the last time someone tried to provoke you. Maybe it was a coworker who made a sly comment. Maybe it was a stranger cutting you off in traffic. Maybe it was someone close to you, pressing the exact buttons they knew would get a reaction. In that moment, they weren't just testing your patience. They were testing your control over yourself. And the person who wins in that situation isn't the one who shouts back. It's the one who stays unshaken. That's why in the arena of life, calmness is the ultimate flex. Strategic silence can be louder than any argument. And the ability to create psychological distance, to see things without being pulled into the chaos, is what keeps you in control when everyone else is losing their grip. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's the heart of what we're talking about today. You want to outsmart people. You want to win without playing their petty games. You want to hold a power they can't touch, no matter what they say or do. Then you must understand this. The battle isn't out there. The battle is in here. Gestures to head. Today, I'm going to share with you 7 Stoic rules for total dominance. Rules that allow you to hold the high ground in any situation, not by controlling others, but by controlling yourself. These aren't abstract theories. They're strategies you can start using right now. They're the same principles that allowed Marcus Aurelius to lead an empire without being consumed by ego. That kept Seneca calm in the face of political betrayal. And that helped ordinary men and women throughout history rise above their circumstances instead of being crushed by them. Here's the truth. When you follow these rules, you stop being predictable. People can't read you, can't manipulate you, and can't pull you into their drama, because you've built something unshakable on the inside. And once you have that, the outside world has no leverage over you. So, if you've ever felt like others had the upper hand because they were louder, bolder, or more aggressive, if you've ever been pulled into emotional battles you didn't want to fight, or if you've ever wished you could walk into any room and radiate a quiet, undeniable presence that made people pay attention, this is for you. Let's step into the mind of the Stoics. Let's master the one person who can truly make or break your life. And let's start with rule number 1. Rule 1. Master calmness. When chaos hits, most people panic. They speak faster. They make rushed decisions. They reveal exactly what they're feeling, and in doing so, they hand over their power. But the person who remains calm, the one who doesn't get swept up in the noise, becomes the anchor in the storm. And anchors command respect. Think about it. In a crisis, people look for someone steady, someone who isn't shaking with the wind. That's why, in the world of Stoic philosophy, calmness isn't weakness. Calmness is authority. Here's the truth most people never realize. When someone tries to provoke you, they're not just speaking to your ears. They're probing for your emotional triggers. They want to see if they can make you flinch. If you react instantly, you've just told them exactly how to control you. That's why impulsive reactions are the fastest way to lose ground. A master of calm never plays that game. But let's be clear. Calmness doesn't just happen. It's not something you suddenly remember to do when life is falling apart. It's a discipline, trained every single day until it becomes second nature. The Stoics practiced it through mental detachment, learning to step back from a moment and view it as if you were watching a scene in a movie. If someone insults you, instead of jumping in with anger, you observe it. You ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this even about me? They also trained their breathing. Why? Because your body is the engine that powers your mind. When your heart races, your thoughts scatter. But if you control your breath, you slow your pulse. And with it, you regain your clarity. Visualization was another tool. Before stepping into a meeting, an argument, or a high-stakes conversation, a Stoic would picture possible scenarios, including the most difficult ones, and rehearse their response in silence. That way, when the moment came, nothing caught them off guard. You can do the same. And here's how I train my own calmness, using 5 simple daily rituals. 1. Morning silence. Before the world makes a single demand of you, spend 10-15 minutes in complete silence. No phone, no news, no conversations. Just you and your thoughts, letting the mind settle like still water. 2. The pause rule. Whenever you feel triggered, don't answer right away. Count to 3. Take a single breath in, then out. Those 3 seconds can mean the difference between saying something you regret and delivering a response that shifts the entire conversation in your favor. 3. Reflective journaling. Every night, write down the moments where you lost your calm and the moments where you held it. Over time, you'll start spotting patterns, the same types of people, situations, or words that pull you off center. Awareness is the first step to mastery. 4. Cold exposure. Whether it's a cold shower or a dip in icy water, this teaches you to stay composed in physical discomfort, which translates to staying composed in emotional discomfort. 5. Box breathing. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold again for 4 seconds. This method, used by Navy SEALs, forces your mind and body into a state of control, no matter what's happening around you. Now, let's bring this into real life. Picture a high-stakes boardroom meeting. Tension is in the air. 2 sides are clashing, voices rising. Someone throws a subtle jab your way, hoping to rattle you. Most people in that moment either shut down or fire back, losing the room's respect. But you don't flinch. You lean back, listen fully. And when you speak, it's not with emotion, it's with precision. You ask one clear, decisive question that cuts straight to the core of the issue. And suddenly, the energy in the room shifts. You're not just participating in the meeting, you're controlling its direction. That's the power of calmness. It makes your words weigh more. It makes your presence harder to ignore. It positions you as someone people follow, even without you demanding it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In other words, calmness is not about ignoring reality. It's about owning your interpretation of it. And when you own your interpretation, you own the outcome. So if you want to master calmness, start today. Not when things are easy, but in the small, ordinary moments where you feel that first spark of irritation or fear. That's your training ground. Because when the big storms hit, the ones that shake everyone else, you'll already know how to stand firm. And in that moment, you won't need to fight for dominance. It will already be yours. Rule 2. Strategic listening. One of the most underrated forms of power is something almost nobody trains. And it's not speaking, it's listening. Now, I'm not talking about the polite, surface-level kind of listening where you nod, wait for your turn, and then jump in with your opinion. I'm talking about strategic listening, the kind that quietly shifts the balance of power in your favor, without you having to say much at all. Here's the simple truth. When you let other people speak first, they reveal more than they realize. They'll tell you their fears without meaning to. They'll expose their priorities. And if you're paying attention, you'll spot their weaknesses. Not so you can exploit them unfairly, but so you can navigate the situation with precision. Most people make the mistake of trying to fill every silence. They think silence means weakness or lack of control. But in reality, silence is often the most powerful move in the room. Here's why. Silence makes insecure people uncomfortable. When they feel that discomfort, they start to talk more. And the more they talk, the more they reveal. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You learn more by listening, even to those who talk badly, than by speaking." In other words, every word someone says is a clue, if you know how to hear it. But strategic listening isn't just about staying quiet. It's about knowing how to guide the other person deeper into their own thoughts without tipping your hand. One of the most effective tools for this is asking soft, open-ended questions. Questions that don't challenge aggressively, but invite them to open up. Like, what makes you say that? How did you come to that conclusion? Could you tell me more about that? These questions do 3 things. First, they signal that you're interested, which lowers the other person's guard. Second, they force the other person to clarify their position, which often exposes the shaky ground it stands on. And third, they give you the map of their thinking process, so you can see where their true motivations lie. But while you're doing this, there's one non-negotiable rule. You must maintain a poker face. Your expressions, your tone, even the way you breathe. These all send signals. If you raise your eyebrows in surprise, lean forward in excitement, or frown in disagreement, you've just given the other person feedback on how well their words are landing. And that feedback gives them an advantage. Instead, remain neutral, not cold or distant, but steady. Think of it like being a calm observer, the mountain that doesn't move when the wind blows. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine you're in a high-stakes negotiation. The other party throws out a number, hoping to anchor you. Maybe it's way higher than you expected. Most people would immediately respond, either pushing back or showing relief. But you just nod slightly, say nothing, and let the silence hang. That silence is uncomfortable. They start explaining why they chose that number, trying to justify it. And in doing so, they might let slip their real bottom line, the figure they'd actually accept if pushed. In one moment, without arguing, you've gained the information you need to win. And all you did was stay quiet, listen, and let them fill the space. Strategic listening works outside of business too. In friendships, relationships, even casual encounters, people are constantly giving away insights about themselves. They tell you what they value, what they fear, and where they're vulnerable. If you're too busy talking, you'll miss it. This doesn't mean you should manipulate people. Stoicism teaches that power without virtue corrodes the soul. It means you use this knowledge to communicate more effectively, avoid unnecessary conflict, and steer situations toward outcomes that align with your values. To master strategic listening, Here's how you can train it daily. 1. Speak last. In group discussions, resist the urge to be the first to voice your opinion. Let others lay out the landscape before you move. 2. Practice the 3-second rule. When someone finishes speaking, count to 3 before responding. This ensures you fully absorb their words, and it often prompts them to keep talking. 3. Take mental notes. As someone speaks, focus on their choice of words, tone, and pacing. These reveal far more than the literal meaning of their sentences. 4. Ask, don't argue. Instead of debating head-on, ask questions that make the other person unpack their reasoning. It keeps the conversation open and gives you more insight. 5. Control your signals. Keep your body language calm and your expressions neutral. You're there to absorb, not react. When you combine these habits, something fascinating happens. People start telling you things they wouldn't tell anyone else. They start trusting you or underestimating you, both of which can work to your advantage when applied ethically. And here's the bigger picture. Strategic listening shifts the game from emotional reaction to intellectual control. It slows the pace. It forces others to reveal their position before you reveal yours. And in the language of the Stoics, it makes you the chess player instead of the chess piece. Remember, in any situation, the one who speaks less often controls more, because while they're talking, you're gathering. While they're revealing, you're preparing. And when it's finally your turn to speak, you're speaking from a position of total awareness. So the next time you walk into a negotiation, a tense conversation, or even a simple disagreement, don't rush to speak. Let the other person go first. Listen not for what you want to hear, but for what they're really saying beneath the words. And when you master that, you won't just win arguments, you'll win understanding. And understanding is power. Rule 3. Hide your advantage. One of the greatest mistakes powerful people make is showing their power too soon. The moment you reveal everything you know, the moment you put all your cards on the table, you've given the other side the blueprint to counter you. That's why one of the most effective Stoic strategies for dominance is simple. Hide your advantage. Think about it like this. In chess, the grandmaster doesn't open the game with his most dangerous move. He plays with patience, with subtlety, making moves that seem ordinary, until the trap closes. The same applies in life. When you hold back your full knowledge or your full confidence, you create an air of uncertainty in others. And uncertainty makes people cautious. When they're cautious, they reveal themselves first. One of the most disarming phrases you can use is, "I don't know. What do you think?" It sounds harmless. It invites the other person to speak freely. But in reality, it's a way of lowering their guard. And in that lowered state, they often expose more than they intended. This doesn't mean you're lying about your capabilities. Stoicism values honesty. It means you don't feel the need to prove yourself at every turn. You don't let ego push you into showing all your strengths when patience would serve you better. Because here's the truth. The person who rushes to prove how smart or capable they are is usually the one with something to prove. The person who doesn't rush often has nothing to prove at all. Now, hiding your advantage doesn't mean being passive. It means controlling the frame of the conversation, not the fight. What's the frame? It's the unspoken set of assumptions that guides how the conversation flows. If you can guide that, even subtly, you control the game without needing to dominate every word. For example, let's say someone is pushing you to agree with their timeline, their priorities, their version of events. Instead of resisting head-on, You might say, "That's an interesting approach. Could we explore the reasons behind it?" Now the conversation is happening on your terms. You've shifted it from them pushing to them explaining. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this. As Emperor of Rome, he held more authority than almost any man alive. Yet he rarely led with force. Instead, he led with reason. He asked questions. He guided discussions. And by doing so, he made people arrive at the conclusions he wanted them to reach, without them realizing they'd been led there. The other part of hiding your advantage is detachment from outcomes. If you're desperate for a certain result, you'll telegraph it in your words, your body language, your tone. The other side will sense it and use it against you. But when you're willing to let go of a specific outcome, when you can genuinely say, "If it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll adapt," you become incredibly hard to pressure. You're no longer forcing the river, you're flowing with it. This is where the Stoic mindset becomes your armor. You remind yourself that your value doesn't depend on winning this one deal, this one argument, or this one battle. You are steady no matter what happens. And that steadiness itself becomes a weapon. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're in a salary negotiation. If you walk in eager to prove every reason you deserve more money, listing all your achievements at once, you give your employer a clear list to counter. But if you ask thoughtful questions first, listen, and reveal your points only when they land with maximum impact, you keep the advantage in your hands. It's the same in personal relationships. If you reveal exactly how much you care, exactly what you fear, exactly what you want, before you've truly understood the other person, you've given them the power to influence you. But if you stay patient, gather information, and keep your deeper motives close, you can navigate with clarity instead of emotion. Here's how to train this rule in everyday life. 1. Delay your reveals. When you have valuable knowledge or insight, wait for the right moment to share it, the moment when it will have the most impact. 2. Ask more than you answer. The more the other person talks, the more you learn. Strategic questions keep the flow of information coming to you, not from you. 3. Practice neutral framing. Respond to new information with curiosity, not commitment. Phrases like, "That's interesting," or "Tell me more," keep you in the observer's seat. 4. Release attachment. Remind yourself that your worth doesn't depend on the outcome of this one interaction. This mental freedom makes you unpredictable and unshakable. When you master the art of hiding your advantage, something remarkable happens. You stop overplaying your hand. You start to see more, understand more, and influence more, without appearing to be in control at all. The world is full of people trying to show how strong they are. But the ones with real strength, they don't need to show it. They let the right moment reveal it for them. So the next time you step into a negotiation, a debate, or even a personal conflict, remember, you don't win by swinging first. You win by seeing the whole board and making your move when it matters most. Rule 4. Play the long game. Most people are obsessed with winning now. They want the victory today, the recognition this week, the reward this month. But the Stoics, they thought differently. They played a different game altogether, the long game. When you think in decades instead of days, you stop chasing every small battle. You stop burning energy on victories that don't matter in the bigger picture. And that shift alone puts you ahead of 90% of people. The problem is, most competitors are driven by impulse. They want to prove themselves instantly. They want to be seen as right, powerful, or in control right now, even if it costs them later. But if you can resist that temptation, If you can look beyond the moment and see the larger arc of your life, your career, your relationships, you can outlast them without even fighting as hard. Strategic patience is your secret weapon. Because here's the truth. The world isn't always won by the strongest or the fastest. It's often won by the one who refuses to quit before the end. When you play the long game, you understand that restraint is not weakness. It's strategy. In a conflict, silence can protect your position far more than a heated response. Let's take debates as an example. If someone throws a petty jab at you in public, most people's instinct is to respond instantly, to set the record straight. But here's what happens when you don't. The other person burns their energy trying to provoke you. Their words hang in the air, unanswered, and start to sound more like noise than truth. Meanwhile, your silence signals a higher presence, the kind of self-assurance that says, "I don't need to win this moment. I'm here for the bigger victory." Marcus Aurelius understood this. As Emperor of Rome, he faced criticism, betrayal, and constant political maneuvering. Yet he often chose not to retaliate in the moment. Why? Because he understood that acting on every slight would exhaust him, drain his focus, and pull him away from the goals that truly mattered. The Stoics believed you should pick your battles the way a master archer picks a shot, with precision, patience, and a clear target in mind. You don't fire at every moving shadow. You wait for the right moment, the right opportunity, the one that actually matters. Think about it. How many people have ruined their careers, reputations, or relationships because they couldn't resist winning an argument that didn't matter? How many times have we all seen someone destroy years of progress for the sake of a single emotional outburst? Playing the long game means you refuse to be that person. It means you know your mission so clearly that you're willing to lose a small point today if it means securing the big win tomorrow. It means you measure success not in applause or quick validation, but in the stability and strength you've built over time. So how do you train this long game mindset? 1. Zoom out your timeline. Whenever you're facing a decision, ask yourself, will this matter in a year, 5 years, 10? If the answer is no, don't waste energy on it. 2. Delay your response. When provoked, resist the urge to reply instantly. Wait hours, even days, if possible. Often the situation will shrink on its own, or you'll see a better way forward. 3. Protect your energy. Don't burn yourself out on meaningless skirmishes. Save your strength for the moments that can truly change the game. 4. Keep your goals visible. Write them down. Look at them daily. This will remind you that your mission is bigger than the distractions around you. When you adopt this discipline, something powerful happens. Your competitors start to self-destruct. They waste their energy on proving themselves in the moment. They make mistakes out of urgency. They burn bridges for quick wins. And you're still here. You're still steady. You're still moving forward, quietly, consistently, and with purpose. Playing the long game isn't glamorous in the short term. You won't always get the applause. You might even get underestimated. But in the end, you'll have something far more valuable than momentary recognition. You'll have lasting influence. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." When you waste your time on every small fight, every quick win, you shorten your reach. But when you focus on what truly matters, your influence can outlive you. So the next time someone tries to drag you into a petty battle, the next time you feel the urge to win just to satisfy your pride, pause, zoom out. Ask yourself, am I here to win the moment or the war? If you want real dominance, you don't have to win every skirmish. You just have to be the last one standing when the dust clears. Rule 5. Master emotional control. If there's one thing that can strip you of your power faster than anything else, it's losing control of your emotions. Think about it. You could be the smartest person in the room, the most experienced, the most prepared, and still lose the game in a single moment if someone finds your emotional trigger. Manipulators know this. They hunt for it. They push the right buttons to make you react, because the moment you react without thinking, you've stepped onto their playing field. That's why, in Stoic philosophy, mastering your emotions isn't just about being calm. It's about protecting yourself from becoming a puppet in someone else's hands. The Stoics had a saying, observe, don't absorb. When something happens, don't let it sink into you like poison. Step back and see it, instead of becoming it. You don't have to accept every invitation to emotional chaos. The truth is, your emotions themselves aren't the enemy, but being ruled by them is. And the goal isn't to suppress what you feel. The goal is to recognize your emotions, understand them, and decide if and how you'll express them. So how do you do this? Let's break it down into 5 practical techniques you can start using right now. 1. Label the emotion. When you feel a strong reaction rising, silently name it. That's anger. That's fear. That's frustration. It sounds simple, but labeling creates distance between you and the feeling, turning it from you into something you're simply noticing. 2. Delay the response. Even a few seconds can save you from saying or doing something you'll regret. Count to 5. Take a slow breath. Give your mind a moment to catch up to your emotions before you act. 3. Control your breathing. When you control your breath, you control your body's fight or flight response. Try this. Inhale deeply for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold again for 4. Your heart rate will drop, and clarity will return. 4. Shift the perspective. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week, in a month, in a year? Most of the time, the answer is no. And suddenly, the emotional weight you were carrying loses its power. 5. Speak low and slow. Even if you're upset, lower your voice and slow your pace. This does 2 things. It calms you and it projects control to everyone around you. People instinctively listen more to a calm voice than to a loud one. Let me give you an example, one that's almost legendary in leadership circles. There's a story of a military general whose base came under sudden ambush. Instead of rushing to bark orders, he quietly walked to make himself a cup of tea. His officers were confused, even shocked. But the general knew, if he reacted immediately, fueled by panic, he could make a mistake that would cost lives. So he took those moments to steady himself, to let his mind clear, and only then did he give the orders that turned the tide of the situation. That's emotional control at its highest level. It's not about being detached from reality. It's about making sure reality doesn't dictate your actions through raw emotion. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Notice what he's saying. The chaos around you isn't the real threat. The chaos inside you is, and you are the only one who can decide whether that chaos takes over or stays in check. Here's the thing. Mastering emotional control doesn't happen overnight. It's a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice. So, start small. Practice when the stakes are low. When someone cuts you off in traffic. When a friend says something annoying. When a coworker makes a mistake. Train yourself to observe before you absorb. Because here's what happens over time. The more you master your emotions, the less power anyone has over you. You stop being an easy target. You stop dancing to other people's rhythms, and you start leading your own. It's not about being emotionless. Stoicism isn't about turning into a stone. It's about choosing your response instead of being dragged into one. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, the next time life throws a sudden storm your way, pause, breathe, observe, don't absorb. And when you finally act, you'll act from clarity, not from chaos. That's how you turn emotions from a weakness into one of your greatest strengths. Rule 6. Strategic invisibility. In a world obsessed with broadcasting every move, there's a rare and powerful advantage in doing the opposite, working in silence. We live in an age where people post their goals before they've even started, where progress is measured in likes, and where validation from strangers often replaces genuine achievement. But here's the problem. The more you reveal, the more you give others the chance to interfere, discourage, or even sabotage you. That's why the Stoics understood something we've almost forgotten. If you want real power, learn to move unseen. Let your success make the noise, not your intentions. This is what I call strategic invisibility. It means keeping your goals private. Not because you're hiding in fear, but because you're protecting them from unnecessary influence. When fewer people know your plans, fewer people can get in your way. It means building in isolation, not because you're antisocial, but because creation requires focus. The greatest work often happens away from the spotlight, in the quiet hours when nobody is watching. It also means withdrawing emotionally from the need to be seen. If you only work hard when someone is watching or when you're being praised, you've given your power away. But when you can push forward without applause, without validation, you become unstoppable. Sometimes it even means playing dumb. Not every situation requires you to display your full intelligence or skill. There's strength in letting others underestimate you, because people rarely prepare for someone they think is harmless. And above all, it means being unreadable. When others can't predict your moves, they can't control your direction, they can't manipulate what they don't understand. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you're working at a company and you've been quietly building a rare skill set, something nobody else on your team has mastered. You don't brag about it. You don't broadcast it in every meeting. You just keep sharpening your edge, quietly. Then one day, a big opportunity opens up. A high-stakes project comes in, and suddenly, your unique skill is the exact thing they need. When you step up, it feels like you came out of nowhere. But in reality, you've been preparing for months, maybe years. And because nobody saw it coming, nobody could stop it. That's the power of strategic invisibility. Now, don't confuse invisibility with passivity. You're not hiding from life. You're positioning yourself in the shadows until the moment is right to step forward. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right things without announcing them to the world before they're ready. The modern world pushes us toward the opposite. Share everything. Tell everyone. Let them know you're making moves. But here's the problem. The moment you announce your moves, you invite opinions, criticism, and resistance. And often, that resistance comes from people who don't want to see you win. Marcus Aurelius never held public parades for every idea he had. He acted when the time was right, and let the results speak for themselves. That's why his leadership felt inevitable. It wasn't hyped, it was earned. If you want to apply this principle in your own life, here are a few ways to start. 1. Keep your goals close. Tell only the people who need to know. And even then, tell them less than you're tempted to. 2. Build in silence. Do the hard work when nobody's watching. Let the unveiling be the surprise. 3. Withdraw from validation. Train yourself to keep going without likes, comments, or applause. Make your fuel internal, not external. 4. Play underestimated. Let others think they know your limits, then exceed them at the perfect moment. 5. Stay unreadable. Control your expressions, your words, and your reveals. Mystery is a form of power. When you embrace strategic invisibility, you're not denying yourself recognition. You're delaying it until it works for you. Because here's the thing. Once you show your hand, you can't take it back. Once you expose your strategy, you lose the element of surprise. And surprise is one of the greatest levers in human interaction. So ask yourself, are you giving away too much, too soon? Are you letting your hunger for recognition weaken your position? The next time you feel the urge to announce your plans, pause. Ask yourself if telling others moves you closer to your goal, or if it just gives them the power to slow you down. Play the game with patience. Work in silence. Guard your vision like a treasure. And when the moment comes to strike, let your results speak so loudly that you'll never have to explain yourself. Rule 7. Outsmart, not outshine. One of the fastest ways to make enemies is to outshine the wrong person at the wrong time. It's a mistake countless talented people make, and it often costs them opportunities they could have had if they'd been more strategic. The Stoics understood this deeply. Power isn't always about proving you're the best in the room. Sometimes, it's about letting others think they are, while you quietly position yourself for the win. When you overshine, you trigger insecurity, and insecurity breeds resistance. Suddenly, you're not just another player in the game. You've become a threat. And threats are dealt with quickly, often in ways you won't see coming. That's why the true Stoic operator learns how to dim their light strategically. Not because they doubt their own brilliance, but because they know there's a right moment to reveal it. Here's what that looks like in practice. You let others feel superior. You give them the space to take credit for small victories. You let them be the loudest voice in the meeting. And while they're busy chasing recognition, you're building something far more valuable. Quiet leverage. Quiet leverage is influence without exposure. It's the relationships you build behind the scenes, the skills you sharpen in private, the opportunities you prepare for while the spotlight is on someone else. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're on a team with a loud, ambitious coworker who loves taking credit. Most people would either compete for attention or resent being overshadowed. But you let them have it. You don't fight for the credit. You just keep doing excellent work, quietly making yourself indispensable to the right people. Then one day, that loud coworker makes a mistake, a big one. Suddenly the spotlight turns, and everyone is looking for someone who can step in and fix things. And there you are, prepared, capable, and ready. While they were chasing applause, you were building the foundation for real authority. This is the art of outsmarting instead of outshining. It requires ego control. You have to resist the temptation to constantly prove yourself, to show everyone you're the smartest or most talented right away. Because in reality, being the obvious best too early can paint a target on your back. Remember, the Stoic path is not about feeding your pride. It's about achieving your goals with the least unnecessary resistance. Sometimes, the smartest move is to let others think they've won, while you quietly move into position for the victory that really matters. Here's how you can practice this in your own life. 1. Pick your moments. Not every situation requires you to showcase your full ability. Hold back until the timing benefits you. 2. Build behind the scenes. Work on your skills, your network, and your opportunities without broadcasting them. Quiet preparation is a form of power. 3. Let ego go. You don't need every piece of recognition to prove your worth. Recognition is nice. Leverage is better. 4. Be the solution, not the threat. When you do step up, make sure it's to solve a problem, not to prove a point. People embrace solutions. They resist threats. Marcus Aurelius lived this principle. As emperor, he didn't spend his energy trying to show he was the most brilliant man in the Senate. He listened, let others speak, and allowed them to feel important. But when decisions needed to be made, he acted decisively, and the respect he earned was far deeper than applause. When you stop chasing the urge to outshine, you free yourself from battles that don't matter. You stop wasting energy on proving yourself in the moment and start investing in being ready for the moment that counts. It's a kind of quiet patience that can feel uncomfortable at first. Your ego will scream for recognition. You'll want to prove you can do it better. But every time you resist that pull, you're building something much stronger, a position that's safe from petty politics, that's rooted in competence, and that's ready to strike when the timing is right. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Do you want to be impressive right now, or influential when it matters? The loudest person in the room may get the early applause, but the one who plays the long game, who knows when to hold back and when to step forward, is the one who ends up with lasting power. The Stoics knew your job is not to outshine. Your job is to outlast and outthink. We've covered the 7 Stoic rules, and now you see, these aren't just clever tactics to win arguments or get ahead in business. They are a way of living. A way for those who are done being pushed around by people who are louder but weaker. A way for those who refuse to be pulled into petty games, emotional traps, and pointless battles. Because in the end, true dominance isn't about shouting the loudest. It isn't about flexing your strength at every opportunity. It's about calm strategy. It's about patience. It's about emotional discipline. And it's about silent execution. When you embody these rules, something changes. People can't get under your skin anymore. They can't predict your next move. They can't use your emotions against you, because you've mastered them. The loudest voice in the room is rarely the strongest. In fact, the louder they are, the more they're often compensating for something. The real strength is quiet, steady, and hard to read. And here's what's even more powerful. When you commit to the long game, you don't just win, you outlast. The impatient burn themselves out. The reckless make mistakes. The egotistical get blindsided. But you're still there, still steady, still moving forward while others crumble under the weight of their own impulses. That's the Stoic way. Outsmart, outlast, and outplay. Without wasting energy explaining yourself. You don't need to convince the world of your strength. You simply show it in the way you move, the way you wait, the way you act only when it counts. It reminds me of a mindset I want you to carry from this moment forward. The strongest don't explain, they execute. So stop telling people what you're going to do. Stop seeking validation for your plans. Stop justifying your every step. Instead, train in silence. Move strategically. Guard your emotions. Let others underestimate you while you quietly build the leverage that will carry you past them. And when the time comes, act with precision. Act with certainty. Act in a way that leaves no doubt you were in control the whole time. This is the life of a Stoic operator. Not a life free from challenges, but a life where challenges no longer have power over you. The question is, will you live it? If this message resonated with you, then you're already walking a different path. A path most people will never understand. Don't walk it alone. Subscribe to this channel. Join the Stoic community and keep sharpening your mind with every video. And if you're ready to take these 7 rules and truly live them, share this with someone who needs to hear it. not for their applause, but for their awakening. Remember, the strongest don't explain, they execute. Now go execute.